undeniable team. We on the circle, bring the fire like a dragon, hunger and the passion, making history. Our energy is everlasting. We're staying on top. Team so supreme, making big moves the world has never seen.
We never fall back. Hold our ground where we at. We never fall back. Hold our ground where we at. Never fall back. We never fall back. Hold our ground where we at. Yeah. No lies or facts. You can find me right where I'm at. We never fall back. We never fall back. Yeah. We never fall back. And you can find me where I'm at. We never fall back. Hold our ground where we at. Yeah. No lies or facts. You can find me right where I'm at. We never fall back. We never fall back. Yeah. We never fall back. And you can find me where I'm at. We never fall back. We never fall back. And you can find me where I'm at. We never fall back.
Man, if this doesn't get you guys hyped for what's going to be coming up in these next 2 weeks, I don't know what will. Fantastic song, and as well as some fantastic teams going to be participating here in these 2 weeks. But guys, let's take a look at our schedule, right? Let's get an idea of what's going to be happening today, what maps we'll be going to, and of course, in what order. And man, I'm happy to not see us ending up on Sanhok.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say it before anyone else does.
Just had to get rid of it right away. I'm sad we're not seeing Vikendi at all. But hey, the after party.
You'll get a little bit.
We'll get a little snippet of it, but you know it's going to be interesting. 3 Erangels are going to be also having your 2 Miramars, 1 Sanhok. Unfortunately for Nigma Galaxy and TJB, not as much shield they can do, but they can try and get a few points here and there.
I like that Erangel's the full focus.
All right, we're going to head over to James Yang, the director of PUBG Mobile Esports, here on the stage.
I would like to say personally how incredible it is to talk to you all in person. It's too far long, as we all know. I'm here today to share the
they're getting a lot of wins, but they're not necessarily high elim games coming in. And I think if you're able to kind of control the circles, even flex out and push people out of circles as well and hold them as a barrier, I think that's a good style to come into this kind of tournament in, where you have to be assessing more threats than usual, given the 16 to 18 team lobby that we're going to see here.
Okay, well, I mean, a team I want to bring up that I'm surprised you guys haven't mentioned yet. I'm not sure which one of you chose. Enigma Galaxy representing Arabia. This team, 3rd place at PMGC. Really surprised us. They were so consistent. They've been really consistent this year, I think, having the most chicken dinners in a PMPL across the world. This team is amazing, and they should be looked at as one of the favorites.
Yeah, and in a very similar grain to Stalwart, they are a team that has stuck together for, I think, almost 700 days now. The roster has stuck together, never changed, which is very impressive to see. And also, they're playing locally, right? They are a local team. They won PMP Arabia in the spring season. A little bit too close on the fall season, unfortunately. But having fans present for this offline event, it doesn't happen too often for PUBG Mobile. We'll see if the offline buff is going to really work out for them.
The region has strong teams, for sure. Enigma Galaxy has to be one of them. I think one thing that goes against them a little bit is that we only have one Sanhok per day. They are decent there. They're playing the averages, is fair to say, when it comes to a battleground like Sanhok. But beyond that as well, we've seen good compound control from them when we've been kind of covering them. They've continued that throughout the months. So impressive stuff from them to continue on into this tournament.
So I want to bring up a question to you guys. I know you have more teams you want to talk about, but I feel like a general consensus I've seen from a lot of these teams going into this event was they did either really, really bad in the league stage, and then they did well in the finals. They did well in the league stage, and they did well in the finals. They carried it over. But a lot of the teams struggled when it came to those regional playoffs, right? Those regional championships. A lot of teams just weren't really able to live up to what they did in their own region. And when you're playing at an international event at a global scale like this, I'm kind of worried for those teams.
Yeah, I think that's the lack of international experience that a lot of these teams have, unfortunately, heading into this. So this first day is going to be rough for some of these squads, right? They're going to have to deal with it the hard way. It's going to be like trial and error for a lot of these guys, seeing how the drop goes, how the rotation goes. And I think that after this first day, after the first game of each map, things will start to settle in a little bit more, but it is a lot of unknown heading into now.
It's definitely a feel-out day, right?
Yeah.
That's fair to say. We have seen these guys have a few test games here and there to try and feel out the drops, as you're saying. But even as we've studied these teams' drops, where they're going, sometimes in their own regions, they've had their preferred drop, but then had to move away. Here, we're going to see some of that again. We're going to see teams like, I mean, Regnam, I can't even do it.
Gaming.
I can't hear myself. Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately, we can.
Apparently, yeah. I mean, for example, their Yasnaya split that they were doing with 2 and south of Kameshki, as well as Yasnaya. You have to tighten that up in this kind of lobby here, because there's more threats actually looming on the edges of your drop. So even from the word go in these games, you got to be very, very careful about how you're feeling at the other teams.
I mean, for teams who haven't played on a national level, like you think of Vivo Key, and I know we talked about this actually quite a bit before the event, they've not really played a LAN. They've not really played a global event. I mean, you're kind of hitting two big things all in one. Like, realistically, what can you expect from a team like this? I mean, obviously, Brazil has high hopes for them.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's all about the preparation going into the event, know your scrims. And I also know that a lot of teams have picked up a coach pretty much last minute, but that can have a pretty drastic impact on your team and how you approach and visualize the game, right? I think that can have a pretty big impact. Like talking about Vivo Keyed, they qualified above teams like Influence Rage, Alpha 7, which is even Loops, which is very, very impressive. So I've had the chance to cast them a little bit over in the Western tournaments and like Americas. I think they have the chops to do well on an international event. Unfortunately, we'll have to see how it's going to go because we've never seen it before, but I think there's a chance that Vivo Keyed could be like a dark horse almost heading into this.
Okay. Actually, Claris, do you have a dark horse that you're looking at?
I mean, it's kind of up and down. I guess I would have to pick a team like Morph. They come from a great region. I did expect other teams to qualify from that region, like RRQ, for example. But they showed that they're able to hang with the top teams there. So maybe they can make something happen in this lobby, even though I'm favoring the big dogs overall.
Okay, yeah. And considering, we have 18 matches, right? And you're talking about like getting accustomed to the lobbies, you don't have time. And we have actually seen, like you mentioned before, a lot of coaches coming in, a lot of really well-known coaches, some maybe on Nova X Quest F, the ones who have been able to take home PUBG. Like, how much can a coach realistically offer you when you only had, I guess, maybe a little bit of lead up into the event, but you only have 3 days of play? It's really hard to make drastic changes to how the lobbies play out.
I mean, in terms of gameplay, of course, you've got a lot of research and work that's been done in the background. I think it's mostly getting the players and the teams in the mentality, because a lot of the coaches that have been picked up by these teams have that LAN experience. They know how it works out. They know how the teams adapt to it. And I think just telling them how it's going to happen and how it's going to go down is really good for the mental state. Like, they seem more prepared heading into this.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be getting into our first match shortly here, but I want to give a shout-out here to Sony with the Play to Win with Xperia 1 IV, creating collaboration with professional esports players, so you know it's going to be good. The Sony's Xperia is the official smartphone provider and partner here of PUBG Mobile. But as you saw before on the schedule, we do have Erangel coming up here in just a few moments to kick things off this event. High fives going out, at least air high fives as well here. But it's time to bring in our commentators, maybe have a little chat with them before the match kicks off here. We got John, Allen, and Blank joining me here on the desk. Gentlemen, this is going to be crazy. It's going to be exciting. Maybe you have some teams you want to point out. I'll leave the floor open to you.
Thank you very much, Jason. Yeah, we're going to be getting into this first game. Blank, there's a lot of teams here with a lot on the line.
There is, yeah, and Jason was asking, you know, is there any other teams that maybe we're looking at? I think there's one team that maybe the guys on the desk haven't mentioned yet that I'd love to talk about, and that is actually Vampire Esports. I do think that this team currently looks extremely good as a team overall. You know, they've been through a lot of different iterations of Victim Sovers at the start of the year into Victim 365, then Ion Esports in their qualifier for the Spring 22 finals, and now finally coming through you know, now as Vampire Esports. So, oh no, they were Power Triple 8 right at the beginning. Sorry, that's Morph GG I'm talking about. But they've gone through a lot of iterations. They have now Corpai on the team, who used to be on Power Triple 8 when they had some of their better games. He's coaching, so they're talking about coaching on the desk as well. This could be a great position for them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be looking pretty strong for them right now. Everyone loading up into the game. I think we got the plane path of the first game maybe loading on up here. Blank as well. You can see the players in the lobby. Look at that. They're running around. They're trying to get everything sorted. Those furtive glances over the shoulder there. Something going on.
Yeah, no, just trying to get people into the match, and already we are having things kicked off here in the PMWI, this regional clash between so many different players from so many different countries here. It's great to see the representation. There's no problems either because everyone's playing here at LAN.
Game number 1 loading on up. Erangel as we kick things off here. Players loading on, the plane path moving over as it fades into the map. Loading on up. Match number 1. It all starts now. The helicopters flank the plane.
Helicopters coming out of this one next to the plane here. We are having our plane path already. We did get a little quick sneak peek at this plane path at the beginning of the game, heading just under Novo up towards Gatka. Now this is a fantastic little drop spot already for Stalwart. I'd imagine they're going to be dropping out the plane here, but it's Aton jumping out almost immediately, heading up possibly towards Mill to Power. That's a drop spot that they've been loving recently. Rozok, on the other hand, quite inaccessible, and that was going to be quite the big hot drop for a lot of teams like Donuts heading up there, a few other teams on that location with Damwon and Kia just underneath them in School and Apps, but you can see that Stalwart already immediately in Novorobnoye. Sometimes they will head towards North Sosnovka, but this is their preferred drop, and this is great for an 18-man lobby, John.
Yeah, and then Wildcats as well over on that military base, joining them on that South Island. Those northern crossings may be a little bit more populated, do you think, after those bridges with this plane path as south as it is. Some teams will try and migrate north, sure, but that traffic jam will certainly have an impact.
Yeah, you're just trying to cover as much of the map as possible. You know, James, Max, Jason on the desk, all talking about this beforehand, saying that, you know, there is going to be a lot of space on the map that you're going to have to cover. Not so many scouting positions now can be taken for these teams, just in the early game at least, just in case you get caught off guard by a team that's in the vicinity that you maybe wouldn't think would be there before. Though we do have Vampire Esports, they are doing their usual drop down towards Ferry Pier, Quarry, and Primors, really taking things wide at the beginning of this game.
Yeah, a little bit of a late dropout, sure, but it was fairly close by to the plane path, right? So they will have plenty of time to be able to navigate and get things sorted for themselves moving forwards on their northerly movements that will have to come through as the circle pops. So it looks like Falcon already in competition with Morph. The top of the hill currently occupied by Morph.
Yeah, it's going to be quite difficult here for Morph to actually... well, it's very easy for Morph to pick up on this one because Falcon's drop is a little bit further up towards Yaz, honestly. So Morph drop out early, get the catch on Falcons. Already taken one player from alone down here. Does get res back up into the fight, though. So not quite elimination coming through just yet. But Donuts USG actually currently have 2 points already.
Yeah, they're starting to pop off. I mean, looks like they've managed to find themselves a little bit of a spot. Falcons, as we were talking about, rezzed up in a little bit of cover. Presence known, though, between those two teams on that split area. Never alone. Has his team.
Yep.
Seems to play to the name. But look at this. You've got Box Gaming with some trouble.
Yeah, Bucks dropping right on the coastal side, and it's VGS trying to pass by them in vehicles. Now, VGS have 2 spots. It's up towards Severny as their secondary, Lepovka as their primary. Not able to get to any of them. So this is so awkward, but this is now time for Bucks to try and show some dominance. They regrouped around Break and Soaz after their decent PMGC. I think it was World League. Now they really need to show their stuff here after losing a couple of players and reforming.
Nearly perfect nade there coming through from Break, but doesn't quite get the knock. They will have got that hit marker, that indication that there's a player close. They know there's a vehicle moved. Will they still know that there's a player this close? Mini 14 with the 4X on the off angle for VGS. Should be pretty solid at holding down this ridgeline, but if 3 players from Box go down, it's going to be tough. Around the side, though, gives away the position, and it's an easy spray down for Box Gaming to pick up their first elimination of the game.
That's a really sick just run around there from the team. Very fantastic stuff overall. VGS just crumbling, obviously not able to get either of their drum spots in this game, and they just fumble for it. And this is what the 18-team lobby does to you. You know, you try and head to a spot that you think may be free, but it's just not.
Still bleeding out VGS, down to 2. They will be taken on out. Donuts, they were contesting as well. Enigma Galaxy taking early losses. These are the 2 points that you were pointing out earlier.
Yep. Yeah, that is rough there. But USG, honestly, this is a team that really wanted to take Rozhok. You know, in all the practice games we see them play before this, they have always gone Rozhok here. Just looking at anything on my drops in terms of statistics, you know, 4 Rivals was the other team that was going to head over here. But in fact, you know, Enigma Galaxy tried to challenge out. Usually they're the Pachinki team, so maybe they dropped just slightly short. USG had to go a little bit further. And just on the way, they picked up a couple of points.
You love to see it.
Yeah.
Certainly if you're a USG fan. Falcon, 4 players in a vehicle. Not advisable. They're heading towards Yasnaya Polyana as well, which is currently occupied by Morph. On this northern rotation, they are behind the game. Morph on the western side of Yasnaya right now. They will be holding down a lot of those buildings, a lot of those compounds. Hopefully they're going to spot the Falcons' approach, right? It's a very open field. If you're looking that way, you will be seeing them. They're only in They have to face off against this super high caliber lobby. It's not going to be easy. Aiton take up the gas station. That's out to the west of Yasnaya Polyana. And Morph looking their way.
Yeah, so Morph just on that western road, right, with Aton just underneath them. And Yasnaya, for Morph, that being their original spot, they've actually moved west here towards that northern coast. So, you know, they're just looking out for any cheeky teams that try and hold on this north coast. And it's a great idea as well, because it's a very easy position to corner and cause mayhem from many teams, because you don't really want to cluster around this southern edge. There's so much space up towards Severny, especially with that southern playing path. This is a great position to, you know, take up and just chill out, take some time for yourself, especially if you dropped in South George, like some of the teams. In fact, we've already seen TJB move up. Vampire Esports might want to head up there, so will 52 just in the South George bridge right now. So Morph could get a lot of points just from this singular position.
I'm looking at USG as well, right? We talked about, you talked about earlier in the game. It's great. They've managed to get Rozhok. They've managed to lay claim to that area. But if they don't leave there early enough, it could prove to be their tomb, their mausoleum, right? If they aren't able to get across early enough, if it's a northern shift, they could really be scuppered.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can take every one of these teams and just imagine
I don't.
You could do. I'm working with very small elastic bands here.
They certainly have had that opportunity, probably more so than most of these other teams. Morph had to move a lot at the start. I mean, Nigma Galaxy might have had that opportunity, but unfortunately they lost 2 players early.
Ooh.
4 rivals jetting down from the north side.
You absolutely would as well. I mean, this is a great time for them. You know, you get such an awful playing path. You head up all the way to Severny, and the circle just continues to move north and north and north. And now at this point in time, they were being quite passive, but with this shift, they are absolutely sending it down into the circle, trying to take a position as fast as they can in one of the compounds. But it's TJB that's rocking up on 4 rivals who've just come to this position.
GK First leading the charge, getting first opening and doing it brilliantly. Living up to the name. First elimination for the TJB squad now. 4 rivals in the corner, backed up to the back building here. The height advantage in favor of TJB. Morph over the ridgeline as well. Watch out for that scout. Watch out for the third party if this fight goes on too long. The off angle is there for 4 rivals. You can see that in the minimap on the top right. They have got those sightlines to control, but Lin's moving forwards as well, putting pressure on 4 rivals, forcing them out of this compound, of this cover. They want to try and catch them. They don't quite have the off angles, not just yet, but with that nade, jumper taken low. 4 rivals behind the vehicle. Lin out first. Zhao soon to follow, looking to go out wide. Will they spot the player? They should have caught sight of that one, and those bullets will certainly give the game away. The gunshots ring out, but not finding the knock. Jumper now in more danger. Swings around the corner. Lin sprays, but the Scar doesn't quite land it. Half HP, and it's spotted. There is the off angle. Tingsker finds what TJB are looking for. 2 players from 4 rivals are down.
Really incredible stuff, and yeah, I'm loving to see the new Scar love coming through, the most recent buffs for the guns coming into the game. You know, Scar being almost as good as the M4 now, if not better, depending in the hands. So really, really nice to see a little bit more variation in terms of that weaponry. Already another little knock coming through for Team Soul. But yeah, great stuff from TJB. Considering they were all the way over towards Hospital South George, that was one hell of a send that they made happen over towards this compound, which is now extremely central in this circle.
TJB firing far. Nigma Galaxy, the first team to go down fully blank. They lost 2 players very early.
Yeah.
you kind of think, fair enough, go again.
It's a bit of a struggle, though, for Enigma Galaxy. It's not kind of the precedent you want to be setting as that team when everyone knows you as the survivalist. You are the Bear Grylls of the lobby, and it's just not working out for them here. Scry from Stalwart taking some shots over towards Wildcats. Already Ray going down. Defoe off in the distance, takes some pot shots back, but now it's the Wildcats having to regroup here and trying to make something work.
A moment, Wildcats heavily under fire for Stalwart on the south side of them, but there's a traffic jam to get further into the zone as the next circle pops heavily south as well. So it will be on their shoreline, but they have a lot of treacherous ground ahead of them.
Action eliminating Ray here.
Of course, if you guys want to earn points, you can complete daily mission. Once enough points are accumulated, you can tap on the rewards icon in the game to claim the corresponding reward. That's if you're watching enough of this PMWI.
You can participate in the event solo or team up with other players. That's absolutely fine. And you know what? Just like the players in the PMWI, teaming up could get you that reward just a little bit easier.
There's Vampire. You can see, you were talking about them earlier. They're swimming in the river right now. I always think that these river finishes in the middle section near that Roshok crossing is one of the most brutal places that these circles can finish.
I mean, all these teams on the northern side are going to be dragged across sandpaper, basically, trying to get into this circle. It's so unfortunate because you assume it's going north here. TJB got such a nice position, and it swings back down south. Now, I want to see USG, the Japanese team, translate this because they've been given such a good opportunity here for a chicken dinner right at the beginning of the day.
Highton looking to guard them out. Currently on the eastern side of the circle, will stop that rotation north, stop that progression west. Make things difficult. Down one, ahead. You can see they're taking a couple of knocks from back to back. I think this is the circle where most of this impact to the 18-team lobby will be felt, although we are down to 62 players.
17 teams still. I did not expect this at this point in the game. Already 17 minutes in. It's absolutely nutty here. 52 esports do knock themselves, though. That is extremely unfortunate. They're coming from that western side. But Stalwart, we mentioned them. They were taking a fight versus the Wildcats, and this is where they need to play the edge game perfectly. They've been thrown a little bit of a lifeline here on the southern edge. See if they can make anything happen with it.
Stalwart taking shots really fast and strong rotation, I'd say, but Lightning does get caught there, unfortunately, for the spray down. And they are going to lose him at the wall at the top, back-to-back, have their Polo. Representative for the squad. As the nades start to ring out. They're not going full aggression just yet, Blank.
Now, if you want to get yourself the 2022 PMWI Gunskin and outfit, you know, we have a sale period going on through from the 4th of August through to the 13th of August. We have 50% off PMWI packs, and you get a set straight away in that time frame and 5 extra chances to draw the PMWI treasure chest.
And if you miss out on that first sale period, there is a second one from the 14th of September all the way up till the 15th of the next month, where you get 16% off PMWI packs. You get 6 chances to draw PMWI treasure chests.
Looking straight back at the game here. Back-to-back have actually made it quite far from there. It was quite a difficult drop spot for them on that southern edge on the coast. Wildcats still in this one. With 3 players, surprisingly, you know, they took an absolute beating from Stalwart on that southeastern edge, but the circle is starting to close in right now, directly on top of Roshok. Oh, USG, yes, please.
They're very happy about that, you're right. We talked about how it might be their mausoleum, but instead it's going to be their pedestal.